Hello, comrades. Georgi Dimitrov, Bulgarian communist and anti-fascist, focused much of his attention on the organization and inclusion of youth in the revolutionary workers' movements of his time. Having begun organizing workers within his own union at a young age, it seems only natural he would see the potential and necessity of youth in the fight for communism and against fascism. In the speech we're going to cover, Dimitrov makes this point very clear and states that the failure to win the youth over, losing them to fascism, was one major error in Germany, Spain, and Austria, who at that time were under the boot of fascism. He goes on to give us other criticisms that may behoove us to study and be aware of for our own victory over fascism. Another noteworthy consideration we can take from this speech is how he uses the term counter-revolution interchangeably with fascism. Dimitrov continuously advances our understanding of the class nature of fascism throughout his works. Not only is fascism capitalism in decay, but it is the counter-revolution to the advance of revolutionary workers. If capitalism were biological, fascism would be the body's autoimmune system responding to an infection. We are capitalism's gravediggers, after all. The further we advance, the greater degree to which big finance must respond. As Dimitrov has pointed out in other work, fascism is the terroristic vengeance of the bourgeoisie on the revolutionary workers. This is why the famous poem we all know includes, "They came for the socialists, they came for the communists, they came for the trade unionists, they came for the Jews, then they came for me." This speech was given by Dimitrov in July 1935 to the active body of the Moscow Komsomol on the 15th anniversary of the foundation of the Communist Youth International. It's titled, "We Shall Not Surrender Our Youth to Fascism." We look with pride and joy upon the road traveled by the Communist Youth International in these 15 years. It has been a school of communism for the young generation. Heroic fighters for the proletarian revolution have grown up and been trained in the Communist Youth International. We are proud that the Leninist Communist Youth Union, the soundest detachment of the Communist Youth International, has given hundreds and thousands of dauntless young builders of socialism. We are proud that the fighters like the Spanish and Chinese Komsomols grew up in the ranks of the Communist Youth International. In the majority of countries, the Komsomol organizations work under very hard conditions underground. But nevertheless, they are all rallying their ranks for the battle against fascism, against imperialist war, against capitalism. We do not forget the errors and shortcomings in the work of the Communist International, comrades. But the Communist Youth International, in celebrating its 15th anniversary, looks upon its past in order to draw lessons from it and to mobilize youth still better in the future, to organize it, educate it in a Leninist spirit, and lead it into battle against capitalism. Comrades, it is no secret for you that a considerable part of the working youth is still in the ranks of the bourgeois organizations. The Komsomol has not yet managed to attract all the working youth from the alien camp. It has not yet acquired the leadership of the masses of working youth, which are a decisive factor. That is the main task now facing the Komsomol. You also know that a certain part of the youth in different countries is under the influence of fascism. In Germany, fascism has swept away with it part of the working youth, and has temporarily managed to utilize part of the youth against the German proletariat. In some countries, we have suffered temporary defeats. In Germany, Austria, and Spain. We suffered these defeats first because a considerable part of the proletariat, particularly in Germany and Austria, followed the social democratic leadership, which pursued a policy of conciliation with the bourgeoisie. Second, because a considerable number of the peasants did not go with the proletariat. Third, because a considerable part of the youth was not in the ranks of the revolutionary proletarian struggles. But the defeats in Germany, Austria, and Spain are of such a nature, comrades, as to hold within them the elements of our future victory. However, in order to obtain a victory over the bourgeoisie and fascism, it is necessary for us to draw lessons, very serious lessons from these defeats. First, it is necessary to establish a united front of the proletariat against imperialist war, against fascism, against the advance of the bourgeoisie. Second, it is necessary to establish the militant alliance of the proletariat with the peasants. Third, to wrest working youth from the influence of fascism, from the influence of the counter-revolution. It is properly said, to whomever the youth belongs, to him also belongs the future. This is not just a phrase, but the historic confirmation of truth. And we are bound to remember it. Youth must be conquered and drawn into the revolutionary struggle along the path of a practical daily struggle in the defense of its material and cultural interests, linking this struggle with the revolutionary communist education of youth. We see that in a number of countries, united action of communist and socialist youth is being established. In Spain, the Komsomol and socialist youth are fighting together against fascism. From this rostrum, we greet the socialist youth in Spain, who together with the Komsomol are fighting against counter-revolution. We also greet the socialist youth in other countries, marching hand in hand with the Komsomol against the danger of war, against fascism, against capitalist exploitation. We greet the English League of Youth of the Independent Labour Party, which has joined the Communist Youth International as a sympathizing section. We greet all efforts to organize a common struggle, because establishing a common front against fascism and the danger of war and the creation of a class organization of working youth for the struggle to overthrow the bourgeoisie and for the triumph of the proletarian revolution is today the fulcrum for proletarian and socialist youth. Comrades, a great and difficult road has been traveled, but great and persistent work lies ahead of us. If we have successfully covered 15 years of revolutionary struggle under the banners of Marx and Engels and under the leadership of Lenin, we cannot doubt that the final victory will be ours. We shall not, I want to declare before the Consumal from this rostrum, we shall not give the proletarian youth, we shall not give the working youth to the bourgeoisie and to fascism. This youth must be with us, must be united in the struggle, and then our cause, the cause of the international revolution, will be victorious. It's the end of the speech. Goes on to say, the Consumal activists responded to the concluding words of Comrade Georgi Dimitrov with stormy and prolonged ovations. All present at the meeting rose to their feet. The mighty tones of the International, sung in several languages, echoed through the halls of columns. The meeting was closed. I got this speech is from Georgi Dimitrov for Youth. I know that's backwards, but hey. It's not that big of a book, but it's a great book. Check it out if you can, comrades. Thank you so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your social media, and subscribe to the channel for more anti-fascist and Marxist-Leninist content. Thank you.